yeah, yesterday I was at Malvern Theatres, went to watch the Warner Brothers animation Mummies, and I saw a trail and a big poster for Unexpected Twist, an Oliver Twisted Tale. And it's at the Everyman Theatre from the 18th to the 22nd of April, and coming to Malvern Theatres from the 9th to the 13th of May. And I read a little bit about it, and it said it was a retelling of the Charles Dickens classic Oliver Twist by one of the best-loved figures in children's literature, Michael Rosen. I mean, combining the two is going to be absolute gold, isn't it? Here to find out some more about it and to tell us more about it is the composer and musical director, Conrad Murray. Hello.
Yeah, all right. How's it going?
It's going really well. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm good. I'm excited that the show's currently on tour and that people are seeing and getting excited by the blurb, and that sounds cool.
Well, I am. And I just saw the look of it, and I thought, this is so far removed, yet equally steeped in Oliver Twist. It's brilliant. Tell us what Michael Rosen has done here, because this is Michael Rosen mixing up a Charles Dickens classic, Oliver Twist. How does that work then, Conrad?
Well, basically, what he's done is he's taken the kind of themes of like child poverty, and like the kind of the issues that the people went through then, which is quite dark. Kids kind of being led into like crime, and he twisted it with a modern story of a girl called Shona, and she gets kind of she's come from quite a hard background. Her mum's passed away. Her dad's struggling to make ends meet, and she at school she gets encouraged by a gang to start kind of getting involved in kind of county line stuff, and it's kind of selling stolen contraband.
Wow, this is brilliant. This was crying out to be done, because there is room to sit and read and watch and enjoy Oliver Twist and Oliver the musical, and go and see the musical and hear all of that. But equally, to bring the brilliance of that story bang up to date, it just shows that the themes really transcend the eras, don't they? They just represent themselves in different ways, I suppose.
Yeah, because that's the good thing about kind of these classic books, and kind of tells us something about how the cycles of how things kind of repeat themselves, and the same kind of things happen, and the same universal kind of themes. When you write about kind of at the time he was writing about his exact time, but because it was quite universal, that we're always going to be dealing with inequality. Always going to be dealing with kind of like good against bad, and like in our story, our equivalent of Nancy is a well-meaning teacher trying to help. So like those kind of well-meaning characters are always kind of going to be there. And I think like because Dickens is quite difficult to read. It's almost kind of like Shakespeare, but the stories are still great. So we in Michael Rosen's story, he uses some of the dialogue from the original, and you think, wow, placed against the modern dialogue, it makes it a lot more understandable. And you think, wow, what great kind of language, what great storytelling. And Roy Williams, he adapted Michael Rosen's story into a script, and we've used some of that language as well, and kind of fused it together.
What a brilliant idea. And you mentioned there, when we think back to Oliver Twist, they were, you had, the Artful Dodger and whatever, and they were all stealing to kind of just make ends meet. They were obviously giving it all to the bad guy, the kind of the puppeteer of it all. However, they just needed a bit of food or whatever. And it's the same in terms of, young people now, as you mentioned, their county lines, drug stuff, things like that. They're drawn into this stuff because they're desperate, aren't they?
Yeah, they're desperate. There's nothing else. I think sometimes it can be kind of demonized. People think, well, I weren't doing that. Well, you didn't need to do that. And like I'm the composer and the kind of musical director on the show, but I've also worked with some gangs who are involved in some of this stuff, kind of doing music with them on the side. So I've actually seen kind of firsthand, and like some of them, they've got weapons, they've got a lot of money, like more money than I've seen in person on them, like in bags. But actually, you realize they're just little kids. Sometimes they're like 14 years old, and you're thinking, I can't believe when they're talking in front of you. It's this mixture of sounding like old men because their life is like quite hard, quite difficult, and also realizing that they're actually just little like children. And in some ways, because they've been quite neglected, some of them like because they come from quite poverty really. You realize that there's also a sort of arrested development as well as having to do all these advanced kind of things. It's quite a strange mix, which kind of makes you quite vulnerable.
That's fascinating, isn't it? And again, as we saw in Oliver Twist, so you have the mastermind puppeteers who are using these vulnerable kids, preying on that vulnerability in order to get them to do their bidding and to do the bad stuff on their behalf. And it's the same now. So really nothing changes. It's just dressed up in a new costume. And what you're doing, I guess, as the musical director and the composer, is bringing an authentic and relevant soundtrack. Tell me about that, because we can think back to the original Oliver and the big musical of Food, Glorious Food and all of that. But we're in 2023. Talk to me about what you've done.
Well, in our show, we've got lots of beatboxing, and all of the music in the show is all vocal. So all the beats, all the bass lines, all the kind of counter production, the chords is all sung, and then all the leads are rapped and sung. So we've got lots of different genres. We've got grime in there, we've got hip hop in there, but we've also got some great ballads as well. But all through the voice. So the cast are either kind of beatbox experts, or we took them on basically a boot camp, because I run the Beatbox Academy in Clapham. So I kind of took them on a vocal boot camp. So all the cast have been beatboxing and showing some sounds, and you'll see everyone in the cast kind of doing some amazing stuff. And a spoiler, at the end of each show, they do like a live kind of original piece of music at the curtain call. So you kind of see kind of all of them do what they can do.
I love this. I'm going to be cheeky now. When you arrive in Malvern, because you're coming to Malvern Theatres as well, which is, I live in Malvern, between the 9th and the 13th of May. I want to come down and meet all you guys, and I'd love you to teach me how to do that beatboxing thing. That's absolutely awesome.
Definitely. Come down, and we'll give you a little masterclass.
Brilliant. And I'll bring me video, me camera, and we'll record. This sounds brilliant. You're on.
Great. Okay.
Right. Consider that done.
All right.
But what I love about this is the relevance of it, and it's bringing some classic literature to a new audience with a new relevant twist, and that's the joy of Michael Rosen, and it's the joy of what you're doing. What are you hoping audiences will take away from it, and what have they been saying about this?
Well, the audiences I think they're quite blown away by by a lot of the music, because they're like, I've never seen anything like this before, and also the relevance of the story. And I think, like, a lot of the people in the cast, it's their first, either like their first experience or definitely their biggest show to date. So they're all quite young but super talented. And I think that it's probably not the usual kind of musical or show people have seen before, especially because of the rap and the beatbox. But I think that people, we want to see new things. And I think sometimes people are like, well, I didn't think maybe I would like a show like this, but actually I thought it was great. I think that it's good to, one, we're challenging audiences who already watch the theatre, but also we're bringing in new audiences who are like, actually, this sounds like a bit of me. And we're getting quite big kind of youth audiences, and obviously different diverse audiences coming in.
I love that. It's absolutely brilliant. And I love the fact that, the voice is being heard. Good for you, and good for everyone involved in this. I am definitely coming along to see it, and I definitely mean that. We'll come down and see you when you come to Malvern Theatres and record a nice piece. I've got to learn to beatbox. I love that.
Great. All right, I'll see you there with the beats. I'll see you there.
I'll see you there with the beats, Conrad. You're a star. Thank you so much. All the very best.
All right, thanks a lot.
So
See you. Bye.
Take care. Bye. How good is that? The composer. Hi, Conrad.
You're right.
So, what day do you guys coming to Malvern Theatres?
We come in the day before our first date, which is, should have said it, I don't know if by heart. Hold on, let me just read it.
That's all right.
Because the tour's quite extensive, I just never memorize anything.
Yeah, no, so fair. I'm the exact same with dates and names and anything especially important.
Here we go.
9th to 13th of May.
Yeah, so we'll be there on the 8th.
Okay, great. Well, would you want to book something in with Cammy and record a piece for the radio?
Definitely, that'd be great.
Yeah, great. Well, when would you be free? On the 9th.
Could be free on the date. I'm sorry, on the 8th or the 9th, or.
Yeah. Well. Yeah. Okay. How about, Conrad? I'm gonna text you on my personal mobile if that's okay with you.
Okay.
And we'll organise a date where we can look into our schedules.
Wicked. Okay. Cool.
Is that all right?
Yeah. Great.
All right. Perfect. Oh, it's
Cheers.
so fun.
All right. Wicked. All right. Thanks a lot.
Thanks for the interview.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
See you. Bye.
On a smart way. Now, we grew up hearing that a wise man learns from what? Other people's mistakes. And a smart motherfucker learns from his own.